You are alone right now. Maybe you are surrounded by people, maybe you are not. But somewhere in your chest, there is a feeling you cannot quite name. A low hum, a gap, something missing. And the strange thing is, almost everyone around you feels it too. This is not a personal failing. It is not a symptom of the modern world going wrong. It is actually one of the oldest signals in the human body. And one experiment, run in a basement laboratory in the 1950s, accidentally uncovered the truth about why your brain is wired to feel this way. The year was 1954. A psychologist named John Bowlby was already deep into his work on what he called attachment theory. But it was another researcher, Harlow, who decided to push the question further. Harlow wanted to know something specific. He wanted to know what loneliness actually does to a living creature, not philosophically, biologically, measurably. What does isolation cost a body? His experiments were disturbing. They were controversial. They were also some of the most revealing studies ever conducted on the nature of social need. Harlow took young rhesus monkeys and separated them from their mothers. He gave them two surrogate figures. One was made of wire and dispensed milk. The other was made of soft cloth and dispensed nothing. The monkeys chose the cloth mother, almost every time. Even when they were hungry, they would feed from the wire mother and immediately return to the cloth one. They clung to it. They ran to it when frightened. They pressed their small faces into it like it was real. What Harlow was seeing was not just comfort-seeking behavior. He was watching a biological imperative so powerful that warmth and contact outweighed food. Your need for connection at the deepest level is not a social preference. It is a survival mechanism. It runs deeper than hunger. Now consider what that means for you today. You wake up, you check your phone, you scroll past dozens of faces, hundreds of updates, thousands of signals of other human activity. You are technically surrounded by more human contact than any person in history has ever had access to. And yet, something still feels hollow. Something still hums. That gap has a name now. Researchers call it social disconnection. And a psychologist named John Cacioppo spent nearly 3 decades mapping exactly what it does to the human body. Cacioppo, who worked at the University of Chicago, discovered something that should have made international headlines. Loneliness is not just a feeling, it is a physiological state. It changes how your genes express themselves, it elevates cortisol, it disrupts sleep at the level of your DNA. People who report chronic loneliness show measurably different immune responses than people who do not. Their bodies behave as though they are under constant, low-level threat. Why would evolution wire you this way? Why would your body treat the absence of social connection as a threat signal? Think back. Not 10 years, not 100. Think back 200,000 years to the African savanna, where your species spent the overwhelming majority of its existence. Out there, alone, meant dead. Separation from the group meant no protection from predators, no help during injury, no one to share the caloric cost of survival. Loneliness in that world was a legitimate emergency signal. Your body learned to send out an alarm. Get back to your group. Get back now. That alarm still fires in your chest today. The savanna is gone, but the signal is not. This is what Cacioppo called the loneliness loop. The alarm fires. You feel anxious, guarded, slightly on edge. That anxiety makes you pull back from social situations rather than toward them. The withdrawal deepens the isolation, the signal fires louder, the loop closes around you. And here's the part no one talks about. The modern world did not create this loop, but it did build an environment that makes it almost impossible to break. Consider an experiment from 2018 run by Julianne Holt-Lunstad, a researcher at Brigham Young University who has been called one of the world's leading experts on the health effects of social connection. Holt-Lunstad gathered data from over 3 million people across dozens of studies. Her conclusion was stark. Social isolation increases the risk of early death by roughly 26%. That is comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It is more dangerous, statistically, than obesity. The United Kingdom took the data seriously enough to appoint a minister for loneliness in 2018. That is not a metaphor. That is a government deciding the disconnection had become a public health emergency. But Holt-Lunstad also found something else, something that cuts to the core of why loneliness is so hard to solve in the modern era. She found that the number of social interactions people have does not reliably predict how lonely they feel. You can be surrounded by people and still feel the hum. You can have a full social calendar and still press your face into the metaphorical cloth mother at night and feel nothing holding you back. What matters is not quantity. What matters is perceived quality, whether you feel truly known. Whether you feel that if you disappeared tomorrow, the gap would be felt. Your brain does not count interactions. It measures depth. Now step back and look at the last decade of your social life. The platforms, the feeds, the group chats. Almost every tool the modern world gave you for connection was designed at the engineering level to maximize the quantity of interactions while systematically preventing depth. A like is not a conversation. A comment is not eye contact. A follower count is not a person who would notice if you were gone. This is not a moral argument. It is a neurological one. A 2020 study published in the journal PNAS found that passive social media use, scrolling without interacting, actually increases loneliness rather than reducing it. The brain detects the social cues, registers the stimulation, but receives no actual contact, like an animal pressing a lever for a food pellet that never arrives. The signal fires, the loop tightens. So what do you do with this? Cacioppo spent his life not just diagnosing the problem, but searching for its structural solution. He found that the intervention that most reliably breaks the loneliness loop is not meeting more people. It is shifting focus, specifically shifting attention outward, performing acts of care or attention towards someone else. His research showed that even a single act of deliberate, other-focused social engagement, helping a stranger, writing an honest message to someone you have lost touch with, asking someone a question and genuinely listening to the answer, begins to interrupt the anxious inward spiral. It does not require a radical rebuilding of your social life. It requires a small, consistent redirect. Your ancestors did not plan social connection. They did not schedule it. It was woven into every hour of the day. Communal fire, collective child rearing, shared labor, shared meals. Connection was not an event. It was the structure of existence. You have inherited their nervous system. But you live in a world that has unbundled that structure almost entirely. You eat alone, commute alone, work in sealed rooms, sleep in private apartments. Every one of those things is a luxury your ancestors could not have imagined. And every one of them also removes one more thread from the fabric that your body expects to be held by. None of this means you are broken. It means you are ancient. It means the hum in your chest is not weakness. It is information. It is the same signal that kept your species alive on a dark plain for 200,000 years. It is your biology asking you to move towards something, not a screen, not a platform, toward a face, toward a voice, toward someone who would notice the gap. Tonight, when you feel it, you will know what it is. Not emptiness, an invitation.